You didn't buy an F-150 to lose an argument to a spreadsheet. You bought it because the brochure said 13,000 pounds towing. The salesman said, "You're good," and the sticker said, "Max tow." In your head, that meant one thing: hook up the camper, the toy hauler, the boat, and go live your life. Ford never told you that the real tow rating is hiding in a tiny yellow sticker on the door, that your tongue weight lives inside your payload, and that the wrong axle ratio or package turns max tow into barely legal on paper. They definitely didn't tell you what happens after 5 summers of dragging too much trailer with too little truck. That's the trap: a $2,700 max tow bill that doesn't show up all at once. It shows up in brakes, tires, 10-speed service, and resale. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through exactly how that invoice gets written and how to dodge it before you buy, or before you drag your F-150 into the ground. Let's name the villain early. The villain is brochure tow rating versus sticker reality. The glossy number on the website is a best-case scenario: single cab, 2-wheel drive, light options, max tow, the right axle, and a carefully chosen trailer. That is not your truck. Your truck has 4 full doors, 4x4, bigger wheels, maybe a sunroof, maybe a spray-in liner, maybe a toolbox, maybe passengers, maybe a dog. All of that weight eats payload, and payload is what decides whether your max tow is real or fiction. Here's how the trap is set. Step 1. Ford and the dealer talk about tow rating. Big number: 12,700, 13,000, whatever. You hear that and think, "I'm good." Step 2. Nobody points at the yellow sticker on your driver's door that says, "Occupants and cargo must not exceed XXXX pounds." That's your payload. Step 3. Nobody tells you that 10 to 15% of your trailer weight sits on the hitch as tongue weight, and that tongue weight comes out of that payload number. Step 4. You load the truck like a normal human: family, cooler, hitch hardware, maybe a generator in the bed, and suddenly your max tow F-150 is overweight, with a trailer thousands of pounds under the brochure rating. That's before you bolt on heavier wheels and tires, or level it, or add a rack. Let's put numbers on it so this hits home. You buy an F-150 that Ford advertises as being able to tow 13,000 pounds. It's a nicely optioned crew cab 4x4 with max tow. The yellow sticker on the door says 1,650 pounds of payload, but you hitch up a 9,000-pound camper. That sounds safe because you're 4,000 under max. On paper, you're fine. Now break down the payload: 9,000-pound trailer at 12% tongue weight, 1,080 pounds on the hitch. You, your partner, and 2 kids, 500 to 600 pounds. Hitch hardware and weight distribution gear, 80 to 100 pounds. Cooler, tools, random stuff in the bed, 100 to 150 pounds. You're now at 1,760 to 1,930 pounds of actual payload on a sticker that said 1,650. You are already overloaded by 100 to 300 pounds with a trailer that is 4,000 pounds under the brochure tow rating. That's the trap. Run that way for 5 summers and the truck will tell you how much it hates the math. Front brakes that glaze and warp early. Rear brakes and parking brakes struggling to hold at the campsite. 10-speed spending its life in the wrong gear and cooking fluid. Rear tires wearing out on the outer shoulders because they're carrying more than they were designed for. Squat that throws off your headlights and steering geometry. Individually, each one is normal wear and tear. Together, they add up to the $2,700 max tow tax. Here's what that looks like in dollars over 5 years if you overload your F-150 a few times every summer. Extra brake work: 1 premature front and rear brake job with quality parts and labor, $900 to $1,200. Extra tires: killing a set of rears 20,000 miles early because they lived overloaded and hot, $600 to $800. Extra 10-speed service: a proper fluid change and adaptive reset at 60,000 to 70,000 you wouldn't have needed yet if you weren't cooking it, $400 to $600. Resale hit: a truck with worn tow gear, hitch scars, and a tired 10-speed versus a clean one. Easily $500 to $700 difference at trade-in. Add the low ends: 900 plus 600 plus 400 plus 500 equals $2,400. Hit the high ends: 1,200 plus 800 plus 600 plus 700 equals $3,300. That's your $2,700 trap, right in the middle. And that's assuming nothing actually breaks. No warped rotors that need a second replacement, no shuddering torque converter, no cooked rear axle fluid that turns into a wine at 80K. This is what I mean when I say Ford hid the trap. They didn't lie in one sentence. They just never connected the dots between the big tow rating on the brochure and the tiny payload sticker on your door. So, how do you keep your F-150 from becoming the max tow victim? First, you learn to read the truck's real spec sheet, the door jamb. Before you even look at the brochure number, look at three things: payload, yellow sticker, GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating, rear axle rating, and axle code. If your family, gear, and a realistic tongue weight add up to more than that payload, your max tow package is marketing, not engineering. For half-ton owners, I like a simple rule. Take your yellow sticker payload, subtract 800 pounds for people and stuff, and whatever's left is your safe tongue weight. Multiply that by 8 to estimate a realistic trailer weight at 12 to 13% tongue. So, on our example, truck, 1,650 payload, 800 equals 850 pounds of safe tongue. 850 times 8 is approximately 6,800 pounds of realistic trailer. On that math, you're not a 13,000-pound tow rig. You're a 7,000-pound tow rig with a little headroom. If that number disappoints you, good. That's your wake-up call to either buy more truck or shrink the trailer. It's cheaper than the brake and transmission bill. Second, you spec the truck like a grown-up, not like a sales brochure. If you haven't bought yet and you know you're towing, don't chase every luxury option. Panoramic roof, 22s, power boards, all payload killers. Choose the right axle ratio. A 3.73 or similar with max tow will keep the engine in 10-speed in the happy zone. Consider a longer wheelbase for stability. It doesn't change payload, but it changes how the truck handles that weight. Third, you tow like someone who wants to keep the truck for 10 years. Use weight distribution and anti-sway correctly dialed, so the rear axle isn't taking all the abuse. Run tow haul anytime you're hitched, even on flat ground. Let the 10-speed hold gears and engine brake instead of coasting on the brakes. Keep the cooling stack clean. Bugs and road grime block airflow, which cooks ATF and brakes. A garden hose from the backside once or twice a year is free insurance. Change axle fluid and ATF based on what you do, not what the manual assumes. If you tow a lot, treat severe duty schedule as normal. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this on me, not Ford? Yes and no. You absolutely control how you load and drive. But Ford controls how they talk about capabilities. When the marketing focuses on a giant tow number and the fine print explaining payload and tongue weight is buried in a separate guide, the average buyer never sees the trap. They think max tow means hook up whatever I want as long as it's under the big number. That's where I put some blame back on Ford and the dealers. If you've ever sat across from a salesperson and said, "We have a 9,000-pound camper, will this truck tow it?" and they pointed at the brochure instead of the door sticker, you've experienced the game firsthand. So here's your max tow survival script you can use at the dealership or when evaluating the truck in your driveway. What is this truck's payload on the yellow sticker? Assume 800 pounds for people and gear. What's left for tongue weight? At 12 to 13% tongue weight, what trailer weight does that support? Is that number above or below the tow rating you're quoting me? What axle ratio is this? And what's the rear axle rating? If the salesperson can't walk that math with you, or they keep pointing back to the big tow number, you're about to fund the $2,700 trap. Now let's talk briefly about when an F-150 is the wrong answer entirely. If, after doing the payload math honestly, you realize your realistic trailer is 9,000 to 10,000 pounds or more, and you want to be loaded for a trip with family and gear, you're living in 3/4-ton territory. You don't fix that with airbags and wishful thinking. You fix it with a heavier truck designed to carry that tongue weight without eating brakes and transmissions for breakfast. That's not a Ford problem. That's a half-ton versus 3/4-ton problem across every brand. The reason I'm hammering it on the F-150 is because Ford's max tow and big brochures are so convincing that people push the platform harder than they should. So, what does winning look like over 5 years if you do this right? Take two otherwise identical F-150 owners with the same trailer. Owner A ignores payload, believes the brochure, and spends 5 summers overweight by a couple hundred pounds. Owner B reads the stickers, shrinks the trailer a bit, uses tow haul, and services based on duty. After 5 years, owner A has spent around $2,700 more in brakes, tires, and transmission service, and his truck feels tired. Trade-in manager can tell it's been worked hard. Owner B has done normal maintenance, maybe one trans service, and still has original life brakes and tires, or replaced them on schedule. Trade-in manager sees a clean tow rig with life left. Same badge, same engine, same 10-speed. The difference is whether you fell into Ford's max tow narrative or you read the fine print Ford didn't want to highlight. That's the whole point of this channel. Not to scare you out of trucks, but to hand you the playbook Ford and the dealers won't. So here's the takeaway you should screenshot and keep on your phone. Big tow rating is marketing. Payload is reality. Yellow sticker minus 800 equals your safe tongue weight. Safe tongue times 8 equals a realistic trailer number. If that number disappoints you, you need more truck or less trailer. Use tow haul. Clean the cooling stack, service the 10-speed like it's working for a living, and your F-150 will be boringly good for a long time. Do that, and the only surprise your max tow F-150 will give you at 100,000 miles is how normal the bills look. Ignore it, and the next wild invoice story your mechanic prints might be yours.